The Tennessee Power Hour is back. Glad you're with us here at Hutton and Withrow. Chad, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Another great weekend.
Yeah.
And we're back every Monday and Thursday here.
Hutton, happy 1 month until football season. I mean, we made it. Through the long, dark wilderness of the offseason, we are into the final month countdown until college football starts, and the next week we'll have NFL football. I cannot wait.
And I realize August is the longest month.
Yeah.
Right? But it feels like it's double in length.
Yes.
Just because you hurry up and wait to get to camp, right? Everybody's practicing. Now you want games. Mm-hmm. We're not talking about preseason games.
Yes.
We want games. We want to bang some hats. And we finally get there in September. Or late August for college, but you get my point. It is a long wait from here as well.
I was watching a clip of our buddy Josh Pate talk about, what separates actual college football from college football prep and talking about it. And he kind of illustrated this when Clemson and LSU play in that first week and there's a big fourth down and it's in the fourth quarter and it's coming down to it. You're not going to think about legislation or NIL payments or how much each player on each team is making. You're going to feel football again. You're going to feel college football in those big moments and in those big games. I completely agree. Hutton, we've now moved into the realm of this is the actual football that is going to take place. That is my favorite part about all this is I know there's a big bill going through the Senate and all of that. We get it.
It's off-season talk.
That's going to be big for the future of the sport. It needs to get done. But we've now entered that era of we got 1 month to go. Let's get optimistic about some things, right? There's going to be plenty of time for pessimism. We're here in Nashville, Titans and Vols fans. That's who we're talking to on this show.
It's easy to find.
With Tennessee Power Hour, right? Those that like and follow both teams, we're going to have plenty of reasons to be pessimistic, plenty of reasons to doubt as we go. It's about optimism right now in camp. Titans training camp underway, Vols camp getting started this week. Let's go. LFG, let's go. It's time. And speaking of reasons for optimism,
let's go.
We got into your top reasons for Titans optimism last week. Now let's get into specific players that are the most important for this team to function well. And let's go with the offense, starting with number one.
Well, number one is Cam Ward.
Yes.
Right? It's got to be the quarterback. Year 2 for the quarterback. They're treating this like a brand new rookie year for him. He's the number 1 overall pick, Chad. It's time to take off and go. It's time to elevate the talent around him. They have been putting talent around him since they drafted him back in 2025. And now it's about, can he take the next step with Brian Dable as his offensive coordinator and play caller? Can he elevate the rookie talent around him, the young talent, and get some protection up front and move the football down the field with an offensive coordinator that's supposed to be able to harness the best of his traits? If he does that, that's a great step forward, and that means he's the quarterback of the future when the stadium opens and when the Super Bowl year rolls around. Everyone's talking about 2030, the Super Bowl. You keep in mind, if Cam Ward is the quarterback when the Super Bowl is here, that means he's on contract number 2, not contract number 1. You want to see some steps towards that? A big step has to happen going from rookie year to sophomore year. It's time for him to take a big jump because that's when quarterbacks do that in this league. It's not unheard of. In fact, it's expected.
It is so important that he has a good season. I mean, we cannot overstate.
Not just
when we're looking for optimism, it's like you got to know. I think with a quarterback, you either know or you don't. And if you're after year 2 with your new head coach and new offensive coordinator that's had success, if you're still asking a ton of questions, you probably already know the answer and that he's not the guy. Got to see that Cam Ward is the guy after this year. And if you do, how that changes the trajectory of this franchise.
You said he's got to have a good year. Right now, I don't know. I'm still in between on him. I mentioned last week, the intangibles are there for me. Now let's see it on the field. Can he be the quarterback? Yes. Has he been? No. But it doesn't mean he cannot be. He was thrown into a shit show his rookie year. His head coach / offensive coordinator, play caller, fired within 6 games. And then it's just a wait and see until you find out who the new player caller is going to be. Now we know. We know the direction of the head coach. We know the direction of the coordinator. We know the direction of this offense. Now it's time for him to take off and run with it and be the franchise player that he was drafted to be.
Amen. Let it be. Number 2 on the list. Are we going to the offensive line now?
Yeah, offensive line is J.C. Latham. I think he's the most undervalued piece to this puzzle because they've got to get this right. They've got Dan Moore on the other side of the offensive line at tackle. Who knows about him either? Chad, they have had setback after setback at tackle for a while, since Isaiah Wilson. It's time that they hit on one of these pieces here. And this is a first-round pick, high investment made with J.C. Latham. And he's going into a year 3 where you're trying to determine if you're going to pick up a fifth-year option. He's been banged up. He hasn't played well when he has played. He's been okay at times. But we mentioned the stats last week. He gave up 8 sacks, 7 of which he gave up in the first half of the games he started. When he's banged up, he's been banged up and tried to play through. It hasn't been good. This is where we need consistency, and he's got to turn a corner and be a cornerstone for the offensive line. They need more than just Peter Skoronski playing well. J.C. Latham has to be a key piece that you don't have to worry about. He's consistent. He's available. And he's someone you just plug and play. You know he's there, and he's going to be a rock for you on the offensive line. That's what he's drafted to do. Chad, we've yet to see it. It's time to see it and pair that with a young quarterback, young wide receiver, young nucleus as this team grows together.
Was it Steve Watterson who said you can't make the club from the tub?
From the tub.
That's J.C. Latham's biggest problem right now is physical availability.
Yep.
Off to a bad start in camp. Not that that's damning for a season or anything. He could get going and be fine throughout preseason games and all that.
Sure.
And they don't need him to play in preseason games. They need him to play starting September 13th against the New York Jets. That's where they need J.C.
And
Latham.
when it comes to penalties and big holding penalties that set you back and put you in third line, it can't be him. It can't be your franchise guys on the edge that are holding you back, right? A new player, an insert player, they can have their struggles. J.C. Latham has to be a solution instead of a problem.
Third on the list, Hutton, a guy that I think you almost forget about because he's been pretty steady.
Yes.
Is Tony Pollard one of those guys you're leaning on offensively?
He's the veteran pro of this group, and I expect they should have leaned on him earlier in last season whenever we started seeing things for Callahan. They need to run the ball with him a lot early on. Steady this offense. Get this offense into some situations of third and manageable. He's a guy that's going to be a consistent playmaker for you. Playmaker meaning putting you in down and distances that are advantageous for a rookie quarterback, for a young quarterback. He did that last year. I expect him to do it this year. Give him the football early and often, and he can help solidify an offensive line that's also trying to come together.
Hutton, going down the list, if they're going to be explosive offensively, you go and you draft a receiver with a high pick in the first round, right? And that's what they did with Carnell Tate. If Cam Ward is in this sort of do or die for the future of him as a Titan season, where you're going to know one way or the other, where does Carnell Tate rank in that list of we're going to know a lot about this guy very early?
Carnell Tate has to be the number one wide receiver in this offense, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They've got a lot of good wide receiver play. Carnell Tate can insert himself as a great wide receiver. And it's not unheard of for a rookie to come in and have a splash and make a moment and have a season like Carnell Tate is being discussed right now, with he and Cam Ward being the 1-2 punch of this offense, the explosion of the offense. They haven't had that. They haven't had the speed element. They haven't had the guy that's going to be there for the 50-50 ball and come down with it 80% of the time, right?
They had it with A.J. Brown for a time, but it's been a while, and certainly Cam Ward has not had this.
And with
guy.
A.J., it wasn't expected from the jump. With Carnell Tate, it is. Number 4 overall pick. I expect him no different than a quarterback being number 1. Carnell Tate, I was asked soon after the draft, who's the number 1 wide receiver list? It's Carnell Tate. That's why you drafted him where you drafted him. And by all accounts, he has been treated as the number 1 wideout so far. That's the way they should be treating him, because this guy needs to be the alpha of the offense. Take the top off, but also bring the football down and move the sticks. They haven't had that. They haven't had that consistent weapon. With certain wide receivers, they've had splashes, like one game here, wait 2 weeks, another good game there, good half. Tate's got to be an in-and-out insert weapon, somebody that the defense has to fear week in and week out, and he needs to do it from week 1.
Yeah, Io Manor has been one of those guys who had some splashes, right? Calvin Ridley can splash at times, right. But who's going to be the consistent guy? Robinson
is not a number 1. Robinson's not a gimmick player, but he's a guy that you're going to get in space. You know, he's an extension of the run game. He can be an extension of the pass game too, but there has to be the go-to marquee player in the pass game. And it's got to be Carnell Tate.
Wan'Dale Robinson, though, is a good candidate for possible X factor. with this offense, especially with his relationship with Brian Daboll.
And he's played it. This will be his 5th year in this offense.
Yep.
That is very beneficial for everybody involved, not just him.
I think if we're looking at the forgotten man on offense, Tony Pollard's one of them.
Yep.
Wandale Robinson might be another one that no one's really factoring in right now because we really haven't seen it with him yet. Hutton, if this team is going to take a big jump, because we see it every year in the NFL, someone's going to make a big jump as we go along throughout training camp. Let's start to think about how that comes together, right, for this team. And I think we're starting with the 4 guys that it's going to have to start with offensively if they're going to make that big jump up.
That's the nucleus. And coming up on Thursday, I'll give you the 4 on defense. But, Chad, Cam Ward's the centerpiece, right? I mean, he is the bona fide leader of this football team. How he goes, this team will go. But the pieces around him in marquee moments are going to have their chance to step up and make some big plays. We didn't see that last year. Those plays were not there. They trailed by so many points in so many games. The scoreboard got away from them. And it goes, by the way, it's not just offense. It's offense, defense, special teams. A lot of factors play into all this. But the quarterback has to be succinct. He's got to be someone that everyone rallies around. Someone that when you take the field, you're giving yourself a chance to win. That's got to be Cam Ward for week 1. There can't be a lot of question marks going into week 1 with this team and their quarterback. Right now, there's not, and he needs to maintain that.
Hunt, if the theme is optimism right now, let's stay on that theme with the Tennessee Vols.
Yep.
And what this offense could be. And I'll start with how I believe that either George MacIntyre or Faison Brandon could possibly be better set up for success than Nico Iamaleava. This sounds crazy because Nico took Tennessee to their only college football playoff in the 1 year he was the starter.
Right? A lot of questions that year too, but we still saw him march that team to the playoff.
Now, I went back and looked statistically. Everyone thinks, boy, they weren't that good on offense, and I think the biggest reason people think that is because Nico was not good at the deep ball. Tennessee did not have that threat to knock the top off, right?
They could run it, though.
They had Dylan Sampson, right? He was the offensive MVP of the SEC that year in 2024. But also, you look at Tennessee's offense, they were 13th nationally. They still had good offense, mainly because of Dylan Sampson. But I think that whether it be Brandon or MacIntyre, and we're leaning toward Faison Brandon right now being the guy, I think there's a better supporting cast around them. Now, let's look at it man for man of who Nico had in 2024 versus who the starting quarterback at Tennessee will have this year. Your offensive threats that year, Dylan Sampson. I love Deshaun Bishop. He's not as good as Dylan Sampson. That gives a check mark to 2024.
For sure.
Deontay Thornton was a bit up and down, inconsistent, but a great big play guy, but with a quarterback who wasn't good at throwing the deep ball. Brew McCoy was banged up. Steady guy, but was not his.
We did not see
100%.
Him at his peak.
Nope.
No.
We saw him at his peak in 2022 with that big catch late against Alabama.
Yes, we did.
Squirrel White never really materialized into a big play guy for that offense, okay? This is where I think Tennessee has an advantage this year that no one's really talking about. Offensive line. In 2024, from left to right, you had Lance Hurd, good player, Andre Carrick, Cooper Mays, who was a solid guy at center for a while, a veteran guy, Javonte Spraggins, probably an underrated guy at right guard. Jackson Lampley also was at left guard that year. Should drop him in. And John Campbell at right tackle. Mm-hmm. This year, whoever the quarterback is going to have David Sanders, the number 1 offensive tackle in America as a sophomore, at left tackle. Wendell Moy, who's an all-SEC type player at left guard. Very steady, veteran guy, transferred in a year ago from Arizona. At center, you're going to have Sam Pendleton, the transfer from Notre Dame, year 2 in the Josh Heupel system. He played banged up a lot last year. I think he's going to have a really good year also. Jesse Perry could start at right tackle. He's the young guy from Murfreesboro, terrific young player. I think they're going to slide him over to right guard this year. Why? Because they got a 6'8", 345-pound right tackle in Ori Williams that's transferring over like Lance Hurd did back in the day from LSU. So I think Tennessee in 2026 has the advantage on offensive line over 2024 Tennessee. Now, the big difference to me is in 2024, Nico had Dylan Sampson. I think Deshaun Bishop's going to have a big year. I think Javen Gordon is going to have a big year, the running back transfer from Tulane. But not quite as explosive, right, as Dylan Sampson. But this still has a chance, I think, for either Faison Brandon or George MacIntyre to be set up for more success statistically. than what we saw in the passing game with Nico Iamaleava.
Hey, so you're saying regardless of quarterback, not just Faison, but either quarterback would have more success?
I think whoever Josh Heupel decides to go with could have more success. And Nico's a great athlete. You know, he could tuck it and run it when he needed to. Both these guys can do the same. Like, they're not runners, but they're really good athletes who can escape pressure. And we've seen George MacIntyre. Well, I call it George MacIntyre's state championship basketball game at Brentwood Academy.
Yeah.
And he led their division in rebounds as a 6'6" power forward. I've seen the athleticism with him too. Underrated as an athlete. I think it's going to be Faison Brandon, but it could be a combination of both early in the year. I think both guys and what we've seen from Josh Heupel, even in a year where people are saying, boy, Tennessee's offense took a step back. Now, in 2024, the defense was top 10. That was a big difference too. But even in a year where the offense seemingly took a step back, they were 13th nationally. This quarterback's going to have some success. Now, they're going to throw some interceptions. They're going to fumble it. They're going to make some mistakes. But I think that they're still going to be set up for success with that veteran offensive line and with some of the weapons. I didn't even get into receiver.
The ability.
Braylon Staley coming back. Mike Matthews, a 5-star coming back. Is Travis Smith going to step up as a bigger option? Jackson at receiver is going to be big. I haven't even mentioned the 5-star freshman TK Keys, who could be the third starter at wide receiver. Tennessee's going to have a lot of options. Whoever that quarterback is, they're going to be set up for some success.
And the ability to go deeper.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
This quarterback should be able to throw deeper.
Right. I think it's hard to be worse than Nico at the deep ball.
He was.
And I think that Joey Aguilar in year one just showed the deficiency of the deep ball. Remember in game 1 against Syracuse, he completed 3 bombs to Braylon Staley, one of the first Tennessee touchdowns. I'm thinking, oh, that's back in the offense now. How
Welcome
pretty
back.
it was. It was like a 70-yard handoff the way he laid it in his hands, right, for a touchdown. That is a big part of Josh Heupel's offense is you got to be able to let it rip occasionally if it's one-on-one. Yes. Nico wasn't great at that. We're going to see if Faison Brandon or George MacIntyre is better.
Chad, your list have been crushing it here on the Tennessee Power Hour. This week, let's take a look at the top 10 recruits of the Josh Heupel era from high school. High school recruits, top 10 for Heupel. Where do we start?
Starting with the 2022 class, because that was his first complete recruiting class, right? Took over for the 2021 season. He was inheriting the mess from Jeremy Pruitt, and those really weren't his guys. So starting in 2022, okay, I'm going should we go 10 to 1 or 1 to 10?
Let's go 10 to 1.
10 to 1. Okay. James Pierce. Out of North Carolina, he was a 5-star guy. He was in the 2022 class, all right? 4-star, borderline 5-star. Went on to be a first-round draft pick. Yep. Now, his NFL career is not off to a hot start.
It's not.
Because of some criminal activity. But him as a player at Tennessee, we heard all those rumors about character problems and this and that. I'm thinking, boy, Tennessee did a good job of keeping that under wraps because he got pulled over at one point early in his career, but it wasn't a huge deal. Didn't have a lot of issues. But
and those snuck up at the very end of the draft process, too.
But the Duke could get to the quarterback.
Yes.
A hell of an athlete, a great player. So he's number 10 of the Josh Heupel. Again, these are high school recruits. Not transfer portal wins. Number 9 comes from this last recruiting class, TK Keys, also known as Tristan Keys. Hattiesburg, Mississippi, 5-star receiver, was a big deal when Tennessee got him away from LSU, away from Ole Miss, away from Texas. These are the programs after him to get the number 1 player in the state of Mississippi, and not just number 1 by a little bit, number 1 over the last 3 or 4 years. Mm-hmm. One of the top prospects to come from that state. Huge deal for Josh Heupel.
And with those coaching staffs that were after him.
No doubt. So a huge get for Josh Heupel. Number 9, TK Keys. Number 8, another receiver, Mike Matthews, 5-star guy, Georgia. A bit underwhelming in his first full year as a starter, but still made some big plays for Tennessee, and I think is set up to make even bigger plays and more of them in 2026.
He had a lot of his shoulders last year, too.
He did.
Like leadership-wise. He needs to – now he can hopefully fit into that mix a bit better
so,
than he did.
You know who took some of the weight off his shoulders last year is the fact that Braylon Staley, who's my number 7 high school recruit, was so good as a redshirt freshman. Out of South Carolina, he was a 4-star guy. He was highly thought of in that class, but he wasn't Mike Matthews.
Right.
Mike Matthews is the bell cow receiver of that 2024 class for Tennessee. But what Braylon Staley was able to do, that was my biggest fear in the offseason, was that someone was going to overpay him to leave. And that was a big fear for a lot of Tennessee fans. They need that guy back with his explosive playmaking ability. So Braylon Staley comes in at number 7. Number 6, a guy that we just talked to down in Tampa, Arion Carter. A guy who, by the way, Josh Heupel's listening, play him against Georgia Tech. If you want to do a 2-game suspension, fine. He can sit Furman and Kennesaw State, play the dude against Georgia Tech, and dare the NCAA to do something about it. Arion Carter was a big deal. Smyrna High School. Nick Saban helicoptered in the day before signing day. It was an Alabama and Nick Saban at the time, Tennessee battle for that guy. And the moment I saw, boy, Nick Saban is so high on this guy. He's going to go to the school the day before to try to change his mind. I knew Heupel and that defensive staff at the time was onto something. And Arion Carter has delivered. He's going to be the leader of this defense. He is the biggest part of a deep linebacker room for Tennessee. Big get in state to keep him in Knoxville. Arion Carter, number 6. All right, top 5 guys. Dylan Sampson. Can't leave out a guy who went on to be MVP offensively of the SEC. SEC Offensive Player of the Year his last year in Knoxville from the state of Louisiana, from Baton Rouge. Got him away from LSU. He's a track star in high school. Big-time get for Josh Heupel. Number 4, a guy who came in the 2025 class a year ago and started as a true freshman. David Sanders, 5-star, number 1 offensive tackle, the first of the big wins for Tennessee over Ohio State recruiting. Remember, Ohio State at the time was the one who was thought to come in with the huge offer late, and they were going to do whatever it took to get this guy. And Tennessee held off Ohio State last minute to keep David Sanders as a commitment. Huge for Josh Heupel. Number 3, Faison Brandon, 5-star quarterback. He's going to make the list. He's out of the state of North Carolina. We'll see how quickly that pays off this year. Number 2, DGG. David Gabriel Georges, in-state guy. Tennessee's paying $2 million for a running back. No one's doing that in college football, right? No one's doing it. That shows their commitment and what they think of this guy. And again, like David Sanders, a big win over a huge powerhouse in Ohio State in recruiting. Always nice for the Vols. DGG, number 2. Number 1, and people aren't going to like this, it's Nico Iamaleava.
I was going to say, Nico needs to be on the list.
Nico Iamaleava is one of the more famous recruits in Tennessee history. Tennessee was the first. I just talked about DGG making $2 million. Quarterbacks are making $3.5 to $4 now.
They're setting the bar.
If you are a veteran guy, if you're Sam Levitt, if you're Brendan Sorsby, you're going to make over $3 million to go play 1 year. Josh Hoover at Indiana. You know, what did Kurt Signetti joke about? Oh, everybody's out to get you now. What's it going to be like being the hunted? He said, well, we went out and bought a bigger gun. Talking about Josh Hoover, right? We're just going to keep anteing up and buying bigger guns to combat that. Nico Iamaleava was the original big gun that was hired by Tennessee. It fell apart. Didn't work out. But he also got Tennessee to their one and only college football playoff appearance in his 1 year as a starter. So Nico, number 1 on this list. So to recap, Nico 1, DGG 2, Faison Brandon 3, David Sanders 4, Dylan Sampson 5, Arion Carter 6, Braylon Staley 7, Mike Matthews 8, TK Keys 9, James Pierce 10. Those are the 10 best high school recruits of the Josh Heupel era. And when you look at the breakdown by state, this surprised me. Number 1 on the list, North Carolina. 3 of those guys are from the state of North Carolina. Hutton, when Tennessee has been at their best, it's been when Clemson has been down, when North Carolina does not have a good recruiter, like Bill Belichick, who's not a good recruiter right now. Tennessee's been able to go into North Carolina and get who they want. Leonard Little, Sean Bryson. Think about the glory days of Tennessee where they go in and get Montario Hardesty from New Bern, North Carolina. They get some big-time guys.
Pairing that with South Carolina, Georgia.
Yes. Absolutely. And Georgia's been able to go up into North Carolina and get guys, too, in the past. But especially if Georgia's down and Tennessee can get – now that goes back to the real golden age of Jamal Lewis, Cozy Coleman. Go down the list of Georgia, Atlanta area guys they were able to get on those great teams. But 3 from North Carolina, 2 from Tennessee, then 1 apiece from California, Georgia, South Carolina, Mississippi, Louisiana. There's no real rhyme or reason to this with Josh Heupel in terms of geography, other than to say they've invested heavily in going and getting the number 1 guy in North Carolina. David Sanders, James Pierce, and now Faison Brandon.
And they're winning those. They're winning those. Hey, and you can go back to, even prior to Nico, go back to Spire Sports in July of 2021.
Yep.
You know, the whole deal with NIL and Tennessee being in the forefront, they've been there and they've been setting the bar really since the
we were emceeing events with Spire Sports before Josh Heupel kicked the ball off, right as it was just starting.
Yeah.
Tennessee was the trailblazer.
Joe Milton.
Yeah, and they really were. They led the way in that space. And it didn't work out with Nico. You know, it's one of those that if Nico would have played 3 years and gone to 2 college football playoffs and gone to a national semi, no one would have thought a thing of it and said, money well spent. It's the same with DGG. If he goes and he has, rushes for 1,500 yards in his first year or second year, people are going to say, hey, money well spent, no problem. If he rushes for 800 yards, they're going to say, could have used that money elsewhere.
Yeah, bad spending.
And that's how it goes. Yep.
We hope you'll react to us in the comments right now. Give us a thumbs up. Hit that like button. Ring that bell. You'll be alerted every time we go live here for the Tennessee Power Hour. You can join us in the comments and let us know what you think about past lists. You can do that on social media as well. At Hutton_Withrow on X is where we're getting the most feedback right now, Chad, about our definitive SEC rankings.
Yeah, a lot of people, I wouldn't say liked our list, but they saw it and they responded to it. So we rank.
Garner reaction. That's good.
We call it our definitive SEC program rankings because I just love the word definitive, and I love saying anything that's an absolute when it's absolutely not. Obviously, a subjective list by you and I that we put together here, but it's our definitive current SEC program ranking, right? And when I say current, that can be deceiving. I mean that we're saying if you're a free agent player or coach, and we're going to rank location, history, money, infrastructure, school, all the things that go into being a top program, how would we rank them 1 through 16? The biggest response of negativity I think we got is Alabama at number 1. And most people point to Alabama is even saying we're not spending to the level of some other schools that we should be spending there. That's a valid argument about Alabama. Now, I think, Hutton, you and I probably value, I don't think we overvalue, but we highly value tradition. We highly value wins over time, right? Alabama has proven it in multiple eras. Yes, Nick Saban and Bear Bryant are arguably the 2 greatest coaches in history, and they're both Alabama coaches, but they get the right hire. They will spend money. I don't think they're not spending money.
And in their low year, what's their win total?
It's a very talented team this year.
Right.
Yeah, and even when they're down,
we're
it's
talking
usually self-inflicted NCAA problems,
right,
or just a really bad hire, right?
Right.
But I don't have a problem with Alabama number 1. A lot of people said it's got to be Texas or Georgia at number 1, right? That's where the argument came. Not as many people. So next on down the list, Tennessee 5, Oklahoma 6. We got a lot of, you guys are just Tennessee homers if you're going to put Tennessee over a blue blood program like Oklahoma. Okay, now here's my defense of Tennessee over Oklahoma. Oklahoma's transitioned to the SEC. They don't have as much time in the conference, okay? It's still, to me, is not the most natural of fits, right?
That's right.
I get it. They got to the playoff a year ago. They overachieved last year. They did a great job, okay? They're a terrific program historically. But if you're asking me, and this is not a homer take, Knoxville, Tennessee over Norman, Oklahoma is a sizable advantage.
I agree with that.
Geographically, city-wise, a sizable advantage.
Now, historically, the Sooners get it done.
It's not all that. It's pretty close, but not that close. Oklahoma has a better history.
That's right.
And tradition.
And it's not like this is a wide margin gap between these two programs here where we have them ranked. But the fact we have them side by side, I think, is saying something that we're on the right track.
Now, Clay Travis came back and said Texas A&M is way too low. They should be one. They should be 1 or 2.
I do think A&M is lower than where they should be on our list.
Yeah. If I had one take back, I think I agree with you. A&M we probably undersold a bit and should be top 4 or 5, right, instead of 7th on this list.
Yeah. They should be ahead of. So right now we've got Alabama, Texas, Georgia. Read them off to me real quick.
So one Alabama, I'm going right down the list. Yep. Alabama, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Tennessee, Oklahoma, A&M.
Right there, LSU. And then it should be A&M. Is that what we're saying? LSU or A&M?
Probably ahead of Tennessee. Yeah. Florida 8, Auburn 9, Ole Miss 10, South Carolina 11, Arkansas 12, Vanderbilt 13, Missouri 14, Kentucky 15, Mississippi State 16. Now the next big point of contention was from Florida fans saying, how are we 8th? I'm going to look at whatever camera's on right now and say, I don't give a damn about Florida fans complaining about that. You're 8th because you are new money. I get that we're in a modern era, but Florida has had huge NIL issues. They're the only school getting sued by guys who were promised something that weren't given money. So until John Sumrall gets it rolling again, and he could, like Urban Meyer did, like Steve Spurrier did, they move up the list at that point. But right now, you're dead smack in the middle at 8th behind A&M. People were bitching about Vandy being too high. Look, yes, we do this show and we do our work out of Nashville. Nashville is a far superior place and city than a lot of these places. Vanderbilt academics.
Again, we're factoring a lot more than just wins and losses here.
Far superior to everyone in the SEC academically, right? I mean, it's on par with Harvard now in terms of acceptance rates.
And
they're 13th. We didn't put them third.
That's right.
All right. So Missouri fans, you have a rock formation in your end zone. All right. Get over it.
You already hated us.
And they're 13th. Okay. There's not really a strong argument to be made for Missouri to me over Vanderbilt. Kentucky 15, Mississippi State 16. Mississippi State fans are complaining. Vandy should be last. Kentucky should be last. Again, no disrespect to Mississippi State. You're last. You're 16th out of 16. I don't think there's a big argument to be made for Kentucky last or Missouri or Vanderbilt or Arkansas or any of the other teams in the bottom 5. It's Mississippi State last.
React on social. Jump in the comments right now as you watch this and join us there. We'll jump in as well. Hope you'll join us for the Thursday edition of the Tennessee Power Hour. Chad, every Monday and Thursday right here at Hutton and Withrow.
Monday and Thursday, probably an afternoon, evening drop for you. So, hey, if you get to it on Tuesday or Friday, you're not going to be spoiled. If you get to it on the weekend.
That's right.
If you're like me and you mow the yard and listen to podcasts, right?
This is perfect.
You can go fire it up on YouTube. You can listen while you mow the yard. Whenever you can get to it. We'll still be there for you.
Hope you'll join us for the next edition of the Tennessee Power Hour, Hutton and Withrow, right here on our YouTube channel.